Hey guys! So it's been 10 months since I filmed my last video, my first and last video. Having a baby is huge. I already have one, but having two at the same time, I never have time for anything. So I'm going to do my birth story now, and I'm hoping to be able to do one video a week from now on. So basically, my last video was about the stretch and sweep, and at 38 weeks I went in and he checked me, and I was a fingertip dilated, so I was a no-go for a stretch and sweep that time. And he was about 90 years old, so he said to do castor oil. So I can't remember the exact measurements of what I did, but it was a smaller dose than what I was supposed to do. So I did that, and then I started to contract. It was hours later. I can't remember when it was, but it was the middle of the night, and I was in labour for 9 hours. It was it got worse, but then it stayed that level for a really long time, and so I thought, I don't know what's going on. The hospital said to come in, so I went in, and as we were driving there, because it's a half an hour to 40-minute drive, it stopped. Everything just stopped. It was like I scared myself out of it. I'd been walking around the block. I'd been doing everything. I ended up playing Wii with the stick, the Wii game, and I was doing everything, and these contractions were getting worse, but then, yeah, as I said, they stayed the same and then went away. So when I got to the hospital, I confessed I did castor oil, and the nurse yelled at me. But I said it was my doctor's choice. He told me to do it because he decided that my baby was huge and that he didn't want me to go too far over. So, yes, so that was around 39, 40 weeks. And then at 40 weeks, I went in again to see my doctor, and he said that I was 2 centimeters dilated, and this time he was going to give me a stretch and sweep. And he seemed like he couldn't reach properly. And then I got this sort of sharp jab, and that was it. And I thought to myself, that's not a stretch and sweep, because I've been told how much it hurts. I've been told exactly what they do. So I thought, oh, well, I'm not really sure what's going on here. So after that, nothing happened at all. And then at 41, I was 40 weeks plus 9 days when I was to be induced. So that's 40. Sorry, I had to think for a minute. That's 41 weeks and 2 days. So I was due to be induced then, and when I went in at about 2 p.m., maybe 3 p.m., and they checked me and said, you're 3 centimeters dilated. And I said, perfect, great, because hopefully that means that, you know, I just need the gel, and then I don't need the drip, and I'll just go into full bore labor by myself, because I really did not like the idea of being induced. I was almost induced with my first, and then it never, I went into labor the day that I was supposed to be induced, so that was great. So I said, that's awesome. And then she said, well, we actually can't give you the gel now because it'll put you in hyperactive labor if you do go into labor. So I'll have crazy contractions. So I was really devastated. And I said, well, do I stay in here? You know, I don't know why, but I love sort of, I really wanted to stay in the hospital because it felt like something was happening, even though I would be doing the same thing at home. I don't know. I just really wanted to stay. She said, no, you need to go home and you need to come back at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we'll hook you up to the drip. And I said, okay, no worries. And I said, look, my doctor did a stretch and sweep, but it was more of a jab, and I don't think he did anything. And she said, okay, well, I'll give you one. So she went in and she definitely did a stretch and sweep. And what they do with a stretch and sweep is they go in and then they circle around so that, like, inside your cervix, so that the baby's sac and then your cervix come away from each other. So they don't poke the sac and break it, but yeah, so they go around, and so you can definitely feel it when they do it. Mine didn't hurt a lot. It was really more of a, sorry for the the visual, but when you're having sex and it hits you really hard in the cervix, that's what it feels like. So for me anyway. And then she grabbed my cervix because it was still halfway coming down. It hadn't fully come down yet, and she pulled it all the way down, and that was really uncomfortable. That hurt, but it was only for a second. And I said, yes, he definitely did not do a stretch and sweep. And my guess is that he couldn't reach, so he did all that he could and poked me pretty much, just to sort of, that can also stimulate you to go into labour, but also could have put my mind into thinking that I was going into labour. So I think that's what he wanted. So then I was, I went home. My best friend came over, and she stayed. She stayed the night because she was my birthing partner. Sorry, I got lost for a second. So she stayed the night because she was my birthing partner, and as well, obviously, as my partner. And it was around 9:30 when I started to feel. Oh, I think, it was the same night. We got dinner. Maybe my best friend wasn't there. I don't know. It was so long ago. She did end up staying the night, but I just remember we went to go and get dinner, and my partner, I don't know what he got, but I got carbonara from La Porchetta. We both got stuff from La Porchetta, and we get home, and I sat in my recliner chair, and he eats his dinner. He scoffed it down because he must have been starving. We were at the hospital all day. And then I take a few bites, and then I'm not really hungry, and I start having Braxton Hicks again. And I was having really strong Braxton Hicks at the end, and they got painful. So I was having another one of them, and it was sort of took my breath away a bit because they used to push up into my lungs, and I couldn't breathe properly. So it was taking my breath away, and I was just sitting there for a couple of minutes in a daze, and he turns to me and says, "Are you going to eat that? Can I have it?" And I cracked it. I went absolutely spastic and just started screaming at him, "You pig, you're such a fat pig, you just scoffed your dinner down and I don't even get to eat mine." And he was in shock, the poor guy. He was like, "Okay, back off. I'm sorry. I'll never ask you for food again." And then I started to eat my dinner, and I really didn't even want it, and I felt terrible. So eventually I was like, "Do you want my dinner?" That's a big sign. That's a really big sign, guys. If you have a huge mood change, that means you could just be about to go into labour. And then I kept getting these Braxton Hicks that would take my breath away, and then I went to bed because we had to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I went to bed at about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I just could not sleep because my partner was up playing Xbox or watching TV or whatever he was doing. I must have gotten my friend to come around in the morning because I can't remember. I don't remember her being there until the middle of the night. I don't know. I kept getting up saying, "Come to bed, I want you to come to bed." And then he was just kept playing on the Xbox and wouldn't come to bed, and I was getting really upset. And finally at 11:30 he finally came to bed because we had to get up at 6 o'clock, and my partner needs 12 hours sleep every night. And if he doesn't get it, he will sleep the entire weekend. So, obviously when he's working really, really early in the morning and he's going to bed late, he will sleep the entire weekend. He really needs sleep. So I thought he's going to be absolutely useless to me if he doesn't sleep. So he finally comes to bed at 11:30, and I was getting really upset about this. And when he got into bed, I had a huge contraction. And I said, if I have another one like this, I'm going to get up because with my daughter it was a 29-hour labour, so I thought I'll get up and I'll just put up with it as long as I can, and then I'll wake him up. And he I had another one, and so I went to get out of bed, and I leant back. I sat on the very edge of my bed and leant backwards like this, and all of a sudden my waters broke, and they didn't burst everywhere. It was more like I wet myself. It was more like I was pushing it out. So I stopped, I tightened up and it stopped, and then I thought, what was that? Oh my gosh, I hope I didn't just wet myself. And then I went into the toilet and pushed some more, and more was coming out, and I couldn't figure out where this was coming from because obviously you can't see anything. So I then just got out as much as I could, not knowing what this was, and then I called up the hospital, and I did see a little bit of murkiness because I was wearing black underwear. I did see a little bit of murkiness in my underwear, so I then put two and two together and thought maybe that was a little bit of vernix. So then I went into I called up my hospital and said, look, I think my waters are broken, and they did say that they wanted me to come in, but I was sort of like a little bit hesitant. I know I was in a lot of pain. I started off straight away having contractions for 5 minutes, just like I did with my daughter. But these were really powerful. But I was still walking around in between them, gathering all of my stuff, and eventually it was about 12:30 I woke my partner up. I think by now my best friend was here. I think I might be getting my false labour and my real labour mixed up, so I'm not really sure if my best friend was there, if we were going to pick her up in the morning or what was happening, but I do remember she ended up being there anyway. She was in the car with us, so I think she might have come around in the middle of the night. I have no idea. So I then, ran around. I woke my best friend up, so I think anyway, it was so long ago. And then I woke my partner up at about, it must have been, we got to the hospital at 12, so it must have been, we got to the hospital at 1, so it must have been about 12, maybe 12, about 12 o'clock that I woke him up, and within 10 minutes I was in the car ready to go. The whole way, it became unbearable. It was really painful. I got to the emergency department because it was the middle of the night, you have to go through emergency, and I think it was about 4 or 5 contractions just walking up to the ward. I had to keep stopping. And usually they check you. They do an assessment to see how far you are, etc., before they'll put you into the labour room. I got to the front desk and they said, don't assess her, put her straight into the labour room. So I was very, very happy by that stage, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm just about to give birth, and it hadn't been very long at all. So when I got in there, this became the worst part of it, and I was like, just give me an epidural this time. I was happy to have an epidural this time. I had a complete 29-hour natural labour with nothing. I tried gas for about 2 seconds and threw it away. So I had absolutely nothing. And I, was just like, just give me an epidural this time. I've already done my big one, my all-natural one, so I'm happy with that. And she said, look, you've just arrived at the hospital. We want to try other things like heat packs. I had a heat pack on my back for a couple of minutes, and with my daughter, it was great. It was great. My second made me want to vomit. So I said, stop, I don't want to be massaged, I don't want to be touched. And I was getting really sick, and I did end up vomiting a couple of times. And then I said, I just want the epidural. And she said, would you try pethidine? And I said, no, I didn't want to feel drugged. I just wanted to not feel pain. So I knew it would make me woozy and sick, and it probably wouldn't have done anything for me. So then I had asked again for the epidural about 20,000 times, and she said, no, we're going to try a bath first. But little did I know that it took half an hour to fill up the bath. And with my first, I absolutely hated the bath, but this time I thought, well, my first was a posterior positioned baby, so it was a back labour, and it was really painful to sit in the bath, and I just kept floating. I just wanted to lay down. I didn't like it. So I thought I'll try this time because I was in this position where I would lean on something like this, and I would be up on my knees. So it was mainly like on the floor, leaning on the bed. And so I thought I could lean over the bath that way. And so it took half an hour to fill up the bath. I don't even really know what the times were of when this was happening. So I got there at 1, at about maybe 3, the bath was ready, and I said, I really want the epidural. So I've been in a lot of pain for 2 hours, and I usually, well, I suppose not usually, only once before, I wasn't like that. I asked once every 4 hours, and this time it was really intense because I was really, really awake. So I said, yes, she said to me, I'll make a deal with you. If you're a certain distance along, then I will give you the epidural. I won't give you the epidural, but if you're below that, then I will. And she said, pick a number. And I said, okay, well, about 6 centimeters then. I'll do it if it's 6 centimeters. And then if it's above, then I won't. Because I was only 3 or 4 centimeters when I first came into the hospital at 1 o'clock. So, and I mean, this had only been 2 hours. So I thought there's no way from 3 I'll be at over a 6. So it's fine. I'll probably get my epidural. And she checked me and she said, you're actually 8 centimeters dilated now, and we actually can't give you an epidural, firstly. And secondly, you can't get in the bath because if you labour, she wasn't certified for me labouring in the bath, so underwater. So she wouldn't let me. And I think about within maybe half an hour, it flew past really fast from then onwards. In about half an hour, I said I wanted to push. And to lay down on my back was the worst pain ever. So I thought if I lay down on my back and it's painful, then it means something's happening. Silly. Always make yourself comfortable. I laid down on my back and I started to push, and I asked her to check me. She said nothing's happening at all. So she said, go for it again if you like, and she said nothing's happening, and I said, I don't want to keep pushing if nothing's happening, there's no point. And she could not see anything opening at all, so nothing at all was happening. So I got back down on my bed in my position with my arms up on my knees, and I saw a drop of blood. So I thought, well, I still feel like I need to push, can I try again? She said, yeah, go for it. And it was a couple of times. She was like, that's very good. So obviously things were starting. And then I kept seeing this blood, and I thought everything's happening, and it just made me push 20,000 times harder. And then suddenly, half her head popped out. So, and she screamed and was like, stop. Told my partner to quickly press the button. So yeah, she told my partner to quickly press the button, make the emergency bells go off, and all these nurses ran into the room. She wouldn't let me do anything. I think that her cord was around her neck, so she had to pull that off first before I could push any more out, because it could obviously be dangerous for me to push with it still wrapped around her neck. So I pushed again, head came out, pushed again, body came out, and she was there. And it was great, and she was born at 3:59, so I went into labour, I would say at 9:30. My waters broke at 11:30, and then I went and I had her at 3:59, and it really wasn't very long at all, so that's why it was so painful, because it was very fast. She came out with a big puffy face. She was really puffy because she was born so fast, especially because she was pushed out so fast. She didn't come out gradually, she just popped and came out. So I'm thinking that it was because of the position that I was in that she came down very easily, whereas I laboured on my back last time, and that took, it only took 15 minutes, but yeah. So and then after that, all my family came in within 10 minutes, and that was pretty much my labour story. That's everything that happened. Yeah, so I didn't eat or drink anything. I didn't put any, I had lip balm, I had menthol lip balm, didn't use that. I had a massager. My partner sat in the corner of the room the entire labour. His mum actually held my hand. He's not very sympathetic, and he does not like hospitals. So he was sort of trying to avoid I suppose, getting into my little world where I was in pain and, feeling sorry for me, and that he kind of just sat in his own little world over in the corner talking to my best friend. So they just had their own little thing going on while I was in labour. Very helpful. So yeah, I didn't get my massage. I didn't get anything. But as I said, I didn't want to be touched this time. It was making me feel really sick. So I was just running around in circles, and they kept telling me to relax, lay down. Stop doing anything, and I just couldn't. I could not relax. So, this is also, I'll just show you the postpartum belly, 9 months. See if I can get you in the mirror, in the camera. So this is 9 months postpartum. I still wear my very, very high. Yeah. So I've actually been clean eating for well, I had been clean eating for a few months. I think it was only about a month, and then I had a problem with my stomach and ended up in hospital for a week. So, yeah, so I've stopped for now, but I had lost 6 kilos. So, yeah, so that's everything that I have to tell you. I will do an update on what's been happening now. I'll do an update on my daughter, how she's been going, what her achievements are, and yeah, I think that's about it. Okay, see you guys.